Welcome to jasonnewland.com. Just testing out this new thing. Basically, this is Let Me Bore You to Sleep number 73, I think. I've got this new light which is shining on me. And the idea is that you get a better picture. So I'm kind of playing around with it at the moment. And for some reason, I think that seems to be the best picture. I don't know. And also, I don't know, there's this whole... I'll play around with it till I get it right, as I have done with other things over the years. So, the main thing is my glasses, they're glaring, and I don't like that. I have to keep my head down like that the whole time, and I look so serious. I can't move any further back. Without knocking stuff off and disturbing the neighbours. I'll try and push this back a bit. That's a better picture. I think the further back I am, the better. So I might need to look at getting some kind of anti-glare glasses, because these are supposed to be anti-sunglasses, not anti-sun, like prejudiced, but and not the opposite to sunglasses, but like anti-glare, so that the sun, UVC, whatever, so the lenses go brown or grey when I'm outside in the sun, or even in a winter's day. However, having this thing shining on me, it's not really doing it for me. And also I can see there where the wall is a little bit grainy. It's bugging me. It's just cost me money, this house. I just bought it. Literally today I got it delivered. What about that? Is that better? Thing is, I can't take my glasses off. Well, I can, but I need glasses. It's the same way as I wouldn't take my hearing aids off if I had hearing aids, just because it might look a bit better, although I don't think I look better without glasses, or with. Really, it's kind of a neutral thing. Oh, disappointing. I was hoping for so much more. Let's try that. Oh well. Yeah, I'm not madly crazy about this, actually. Let's see if I can get it brighter. Oh, there you go. So it seems to be alright, one part of the one part of the thing. That's strange. Anyway, most people listening to this will be listening on the podcast anyway, so you're probably not that bothered about what the picture looks like. And only listen to this if you can safely close your eyes, because it's gonna be boring and you're going to want to close your eyes and just say, oh no, I can't keep my eyes open anymore because the words and the stories and the pointlessness of what Jason is saying is just causing my eyelids to get heavier and heavier. So, not heavier, but heavier. This chair's now creaking. I wonder if I put weight on. It's not so much that the chair's creaking, it seems to be moaning. It's like, oh no. So I don't know if it's an unhappy chair. I don't know. So I'm feeling a bit tired, but not tired, proper tired, but a little bit tired, which is okay. I find that if I'm not tired before I do a sleep session, then I usually am once I start doing it. There's something about I don't know, something about being tired. God, this is a boring conversation, isn't it? Even for me, there's different levels of boring for me. Sometimes I'll say something and it bores me, but not in a relaxing way, but just in a kind of just, this is just a bunch of words. Can you hear my boiler? There's something wrong with my boiler. It does not sound particularly healthy, which is worrying because we're coming towards the cold area, the cold period. It's the first week in January. It's the 4th today. And I'm just thinking, no, I don't really care about the weather or the temperature when I'm outside because it's January, it's supposed to be cold. However, when I'm inside, that's a different story. Now let me tell you about it. Right, I'm just going to move around, see whether or not the chair, I'm a bit worried. How weird would it be if this chair just collapsed while I'm talking to you live? So this is a live Facebook stream, but it's a bit easier to do it that way. But I might stop doing the live streams and just do the podcast. So, I'll still put it on YouTube, but I'll make a video. So I'll record it on my recorder, still using a microphone and all that stuff, and then converting it into like an hour-long video with a bit like the deep sleep ones, which has a candle, and sort of make a nice video, and just have kind of the same video for each let me bore you to sleep, but with a different audio, connected. That's what I might do. Another thing that I'm intending to do, all being well, is, let me see if this makes a difference. Oh, it does. Actually having the laptop behind, look at that, it's just so bright though. Wow, we're going to have the lenses shining in my glasses, so there's not a lot I can do about that. Unless you're willing to pay for me to go and get some lenses that, anti-glare, or if there is such a thing. There's not really a lot I can do about it at the moment. Normally have a light over there shining on, but the fact that I've spent money particularly for this setup. This is like my Christmas money, kind of, you know, if I was 10. And this is, you know, this is actually, I don't want to use the word professional because it's not probably, but it's basically it's a YouTube setup for people making videos for YouTube or live streaming. And I don't have a picture on the box. The box was just a plain brown box. Otherwise I could have shown you a picture of it. I don't even know what it's called. I should have done an unboxing, shouldn't I? Oh, but I didn't. So I've got another thing I've got coming this week. Should have got them yesterday, but I didn't. Is a bunch of batteries that go into the microphone. That's among the most boring things I probably ever said. This little microphone here takes those little tiny, like, disc batteries, and the problem with them is I don't know how long they're going to last. I don't know, are they going to run out midstream, so I'm talking and then suddenly you can't hear nothing, which bugs me a little bit. I don't want that to happen. So I bought like a lot of them, and I'm just going to use one a week or something, or one every 2 weeks, you know, just change it so that I'm never sort of cut short. Also, I've got an adapter for this so that it fits into the camera, because this is a camera. This is a camera microphone, as well as I've got an adapter for the iPhone as well. So hopefully tomorrow I should get that adapter through, and I'll be able to play with it and see whether or not I can start making some videos with the camera, which is just behind me, just there. It's a really good camera, and it was bought for me in part by some of my fans on YouTube and Facebook and, you know, online. So I have used it. It's just getting the sound was a problem, because the picture's really good. The sound on the camera is not so good. I bought a boom thing camera on top, microphone rather, and even that wasn't great. That cost me £150. I can connect the Rode microphones as well, but it's like they're right in my face, the microphones. It's a bit too intrusive. Out of all the I keep saying camera, out of all the microphones I've had, this is probably my favourite, because it's just there, you know, it's out of the way, providing I haven't got a tight t-shirt and my beard's not rubbing against it. It's unintrusive, and I like that, and it's good quality sound. And it took me a long time to find this. Did a lot of research online to find this thing, because it sounds like lies, but it's true. I don't normally do that, but I went through and, you know, read loads of reviews and stuff. It's only a cheap thing, but it took ages to find one. But there you go. So my plan with the other camera is to start making like 20-minute videos, sort of, because I can't do anything more than half an hour with the camera. So I'm gonna just play around with it, but start making some videos using that as well. So yeah, I'm quite looking forward to that, because the good thing with that is no uploading necessary, because it's got a SIM card, not a SIM card, a data card, or what, you know the card, storage card, or whatever you call it. so I can just take it out of there, plug it into my laptop, upload the file, and then just do some editing work, and it's done. If I make a half-hour video on my camera on the phone, it can take like a couple of hours to upload sometimes, and I have to upload it to YouTube, then or Facebook, then download it again, and then convert it, and then edit it. At least with this, I'll be able to edit it as a file, the original file, so it should be better quality. In fact, the quality is a little bit too good in some ways, but shouldn't really complain about that, should I? So yesterday I didn't make one session, not one, 0. And on my calendar, so I've got a calendar for Christmas, and I'm just using it to write down the amount of sessions that I've recorded each day. My aim really is 3 a day. So far, on the 1st I did 1, on the 2nd of January I did 2, the 3rd of January I did 0. So in order to make it out 3, I need to do 9 today. Do you reckon that's going to happen? No, it's not. So it's okay. I mean, 2 a day is 720 whatever, 730 a year. But I want to do 1,000 this year. But I'm looking to maybe do some courses as well. So there might be a few 30-day courses that I'm going to do and then upload all at one go. Or maybe daily, I don't know, it depends. Some shorter sessions. So not everything I do is going to be long, an hour long. There will be some shorter things. So maybe like 10 minutes, 15, 18, 20 minutes. Because I've been online, I've been doing a bit of research on YouTube. And a lot of the channels, there's not that many hypnosis channels on YouTube really. But the ones that are on there, a lot of them are doing like an 18-minute video. So I tend to maybe perhaps do a little bit, maybe they're a bit too long, some of my stuff, perhaps. I don't know. So that's the plan, Yesterday I went with a friend to a meeting that he had. It was just kind of, I suppose, emotional support, but I didn't it was just a long day. And I had it all planned as far as, because I'm up during the night, most nights, working on a website and making videos and stuff like that. I had to be up by 11 o'clock in the morning, which meant really I needed to be in bed by like 3 or 4. But I didn't kind of do that, so I didn't leave myself, didn't really get a lot of sleep. But it was my choice. I mean, I could have gone a bit earlier, but I was in the flow, I was working on the website and I was quite pleased with what I was doing. So I was listening to Amazon Music. So I had some albums playing. What was I listening to? I can't remember now. What's that one that says "Sail away with me, baby"? Do 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 do. Sail away with me, honey, now. Ow, 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 ow. And someone else. Anyway, I was listening to their albums and I really liked their albums. One was, in fact, Craig, not David Hay. Is it David Craig? David? not Craig David, but David Gray. Yeah, David Gray. White Ladders, or White Ladder. So I was listening to his album. I listened to his album second out of the two that I listened to. And it was already saved on there from the last time that I was on that site listening to albums. So that was sort of, I guess, one of my favourite ones. Not listened to it for ages. So the reason I like it is because back in, I don't know if it was 1999 or 2000, I think it must have been 2000, I kind of fell in love with that album. And I was very, very into building websites during that year, and I used to listen to the David Gray album pretty much every night for many, many months. And yeah, just love it. There's another album I used to have. It's I don't know if it was like a best of hits, not of a group, but like maybe like a now that's what I call music kind of album. But it might have been one of them actually, but it was, you know, in 2000 time, because I think they release 2 a year. I think maybe they release 1 a year, but they also do release kind of like Christmas versions, and now that's what I call rock music, and that's what I call music to listen to whilst eating popcorn on your own, you know, things like that. So I'm one of the people that had the very first album of Now That's What I Call Music, and I'm not sure if it was called Number One, because I'm not sure whether or not they knew it was going to be popular enough to produce a second album. And this is something, a bit of trivia you may not be aware of. Before Now That's What I Call Music, there generally wasn't much in the way of compilation albums of hits through the year. What they used to have, this is totally true, there used to be albums, and I'm closing my eyes now because of that light, there used to be albums called Top of the Pops, named after the TV show. And I'm going to turn this light off, I've had enough of it. Doesn't really make any difference, does it? It's a waste of time, absolute waste of time. Oh dear, oh well. That doesn't matter, does it? Actually, it is probably better with the light on. Oh well, I'll just keep my eyes closed. No, I don't like the light on being on. I can turn it down a bit. Bear in mind, just bear me. Okay, right. See the pictures? That's all right, isn't it? Okay. So there used to be these albums called Top of the Pops, and it'd have all the hits from the previous year. Trying to think, I suppose, such as Adam and the Ants, and you know, ELO and whatever. But they'd have a completely different band playing the songs, different singers, not the original singers, I guess, because then they didn't have to pay the royalties, or as much royalties as actually having the actual singers. So Top of the Pops albums, they made loads of them through the 70s, even like in the 80s. And then now That's What I Call Music came out. I'm not saying it was the first compilation albums for hits at all, but it was like the main one, and it still is really, isn't it, I guess. And unless you go for a genre like R&B or soul, but I had the very first album, it wasn't called Let Me Bore You to Sleep, that's what this is called. The very first album was Now That's What I Call Music 1, but I think it was number 2 that was my favourite, and I used to listen to it. I had it on tape, and I'd listen to it while I was doing because I had quite a few paper rounds, or paper routes, depending on how you describe such things. But I think the one that I used to really enjoy listening to the music most on was the one where I was walking around. So I had a trolley, like an old, I don't want to say old person's trolley, but it was like an old-fashioned basket trolley that was quite sturdy, and it held, thousands of leaflets. And I'd have maybe 10,000 to deliver, and I'd listen to this album. It was like a double album, maybe four tapes even, I don't remember. And it would be, I just play each side and just continuously repeat, and I loved it. I think one of the songs was U2's New Year Day, so it gives you an idea how far back, probably 1982-ish. And I probably got the tape for Christmas, or it might have been a birthday present, or I might have bought it myself. I don't recall. I do know once though, I had when I was working in the bakery, in the bakehouse at Cordy's, when I was about 13, I had I don't know why, because I worked there in the summer, I don't know why, but I had this kind of obsession for buying these Top Trump cards of all varieties. Bearing in mind top trumps, not top trunks. I could go either way, couldn't it? It could be elephants or swimming, but top trumps. And I had so many different packs, and they were in these little plastic cases, and they'd cost maybe £1 or £2 each. Maybe less, maybe 50 pence each. It's a long time ago. And I just became a little bit obsessed with them. And it's a game that you play with other people, really. And I didn't have anyone else to play with. Or I didn't have anyone that wanted to play with me with Top Trumps. It was like a collection. And I honestly don't know why. And I'd buy them on the way home from work. So I'd be starting work, and during the summer, I might be working every day of the week during the summer, every morning. And I'd start at 6, maybe, let's say, for example, on a Tuesday, I'd start at 6, finish at midday or 1 o'clock, I can't remember, get paid £2.50 or £3 or for whatever I earned on that day. And because what we used to do is I think I got about 75 pence an hour. 75 pence an hour? Or was it 70 or 80? It was about that. It was under £1 an hour, about 75 pence an hour. So I do 6 hours, or about 6 or 7 hours, and I go and get paid. So what we used to do is the front of the restaurant. So if you go in, if you've listened to previous videos or audios or whatever, had this hill called Bent Hill. So you used to go down there, turn right, and basically if you go down the hill across is where the sea was. Well, it's still there. The sea is still there. It hasn't moved. But on the right hand side is the restaurant. It's no longer called what it was. Different ownership now. But I used to go in there, and on the left hand side was it was kind of, there was a till and like a shop counter, and that's where they used to sell all the bread and the cakes and all that stuff, and also kind of welcome people as they came in to sit down for dinners. So that's where I used to get paid. So I'd go to the till, tell them what hours I'd done, and they'd just pay me, I don't know how much it would work out, 75 pence for 6 hours. Whatever, I don't know. It would be £7.50 for 10 hours, so half of that. 3, 4, so about £4 or something, wasn't it? And so I'd have that money, and I did alright really, if you think, because I had that job. I'd have had my evening paper round job as well, plus the weekly or fortnightly leaflet delivery, and then the monthly leaflet delivery. So I had quite a few like little jobs. So I guess it all added up. I wish I'd invested the money really in stocks and shares. Can you imagine though, if I'd have been able to just put money and bought some Apple shares back in, early 80s. Not that I don't know if I'd been able to afford to buy them or even legally be able to buy them then, but I imagine that'd be so cool. But I had these jobs, but I don't know, I got so really, a bit obsessed with those little card games. Because there used to be this shop, and I talk about going down the town centre, which leads to Bent Hill. So if you go, let's say if you go out of the restaurant that I used to work in, where the bakehouse was in the back, where the kitchen also was in the back. So if you go out the main door, or you could go out of the back door, because the entrance to the bakehouse was a separate thing. So it was to the left. It was more wood, like a wooden fence. You'd walk in and there'd be like a little yard out there with, if I remember rightly, it was concrete. But then you'd go in and the bakehouse would be kind of there. And then, if you go in to the left, that's where they were doing the baking and the ovens and everything. And then you turn right and you go up a couple of steps, or it might have been down a couple of steps, I can't remember. That's where the kitchen was, the main kitchen for the restaurant. And then, so if you walk out, you can turn right, and there'd be, I think, 2 doors going in and out of the restaurant, or there might have been 1 door. But it was like a swirly, swivelly door, that opened both ways. and go up a little bit further on the left. That's where the kitchen, not the kitchen, the sink and the washing up area was, where I used to work when I first started working there. And yeah, so if you go out, because I remember, so Saturday and Sunday mornings, that was when I mainly worked, when I was at the bakery. And during like school time, so on a Saturday, I don't know how on earth I got out of bed, but I did. And a Saturday I'd start at 6, Sunday I'd start at 5. So Saturday I'd probably get up at 5 in the morning, have my breakfast, and just walk slowly down my road. So I'd go out, I'd come out of the house, turn left, walk down. I think it depended of how, I've got this memory that I would walk down Bent Hill, but sometimes I'd go down maybe the garden area and just walk down the steps, depending on the weather, depending on the time of year, depending upon how I was doing for time. And if I was early, because I didn't get there early, the owner would open the doors kind of on time, like 6 o'clock, or whoever opened the doors. So sometimes you'd be waiting for them to get there. So if it was a nice day or nice morning, I'd perhaps walk on the beach and just have a little sort of, I don't know, just slow walk across the water line, which is pretty beautiful. I love the sea. I love the smell of the sea. I love the feeling of the breeze of the sea, like the spray on my face, like the sound of the sea. And looking at it, it's like kind of all senses. It's just something about the sea that I've always really enjoyed. And so sometimes I'd walk across there, but I'd only be on the bit of the beach that was opposite the restaurant. So I didn't get carried away and end up walking, 10 miles or anything like that. And then sometimes I'd sit on because I used to have these breakers, these like concrete, I don't know what they were. I think they were put in during a war, and to stop boats from, because they were under the water and whatever, I don't know. But sometimes I'd sit on them, and so I could look at the sea, but then I'd look around maybe every few minutes just to see whether or not the gate had been opened to the bakehouse so that I could go and start working. So I suppose sometimes I might just sit and just look at the gate. Sometimes I perhaps spend a bit more time just looking at the sea. But I think there was times when I'd go in and just stand outside the gate at the bakehouse and perhaps have a little chat with the people that are waiting. But it's a bit early in the morning to really talk. But I do recollect maybe doing that and looking at inside the window of the restaurant and seeing all the empty spaces where the cakes would eventually be in a few hours' time, and all the loaves of bread that smelled beautiful, and how the whole window would look lovely, be full of these freshly baked items. This is what I used to do. This is I did a little bit of the baking. I didn't do much. Occasionally I was allowed to sort of knead some bread, but a lot of it was like oiling up the tins and doing the lifting and moving stuff around. And when the bread was finished, you know, it came out of the oven, it was put onto trays, and then into like plastic trays, and then we'd carry them all the way through the kitchen and into the restaurant, and all the way into the door, you know, the front of the restaurant, where the bread could be stacked. I didn't usually do the stacking of the bread, I don't think, but when it came to the cakes, and there was a few specific cakes, I can't remember what they were, and they used to between leaving the bakery, and arriving into the restaurant area where they were going to be sold, it was like a Bermuda Triangle. They just some of them seemed to disappear into my tummy. And not lots, but, you know, by about 10 o'clock I was hungry, because I'd eaten at like 5, and I'd been working and quite physical, and it tasted so good. I think that's scones. I'll tell you one of my favourite things to do, and it took a while before I was allowed to do it, but filling the donuts with jam. I was allowed to feel that it was like I can imagine, I know what it feels like for someone to finally get the job of their dreams, you know, to work hard and finally get that, I don't know, to become a partner in a firm or something, you know. That's how I felt when I was suddenly told that, Jason, the person that normally fills the donuts with jam is not in today, so you're going to have to do it. And I was like, oh, that's brilliant. I was so happy. And so the whole thing was because they have to be done. Well, first of all, I'm not sure if I'm pretty much sure the jam goes in first, and then they get rolled around in sugar, I think, unless they get rolled around in sugar first. No, that wouldn't make sense, because then you wouldn't be able to hold them. So the jam, we're only supposed to put one squirt of jam, because it's like a thing, because there was hundreds of these things. So you just like push down on the lever, and the jam would push like one big dollop in. I used to put 2. Sometimes I'd put 2.5 dollops. And part of it was like generosity, you know. I just wanted to give people a nice little surprise. But I think maybe the little cheeky side of me quite liked the idea of a regular customer who used to perhaps come in just buying one like normal, and then biting into it and being completely covered in jam, not realising. So after a while of doing that, I got told off, so I had to go and just do one one dollop of jam. And eventually I was allowed to actually, I'm not sure if I helped to make the donuts. It's like pastry or something, isn't it? So I helped to make to put it into the mixer and stuff, and then make them into little balls, and then put them into the frying. We had these fryers, similar to what you fried chips in, if you was in a, not a chip shop, because that'd be a lot bigger, but in like a restaurant kind of thing where you make chips with a little basket. And yeah, I remember, because it's one of those things, because I've fried a lot of things over the years in jobs that I've had. It's one of those things where when they float, they're ready. Like fish is like that. It kind of lets you know when it's ready. It's been a long time since I've fried fish, but I did it for 2 years. And it's one of those skills that I don't know if it would come back. Well, I'm sure it would come back if I got a job in a chip shop. I could get back those skills, because I remember, you know, when you do something so many times, like putting batter on a fish, and then like replace putting it, and then just putting it into the frying oil, but you have to do it in a certain way so it's flat. And it took, you know, I did probably thousands of them. So I imagine that skill is, well, if you want to call it a skill, is still there. It's not really a skill if you don't use it, or if it's not useful, I suppose. But it's a long time ago. Such a long time. So yeah, I used to have I don't know about this light though, being shining. Might have to get another one and try that out. Because I've seen online, like on YouTube videos, and even documentaries about YouTubers, and they have a phone and they have this light behind the phone, but the phone's kind of in the middle. But maybe a lot of people don't wear glasses, so that's the thing. If I wasn't wearing glasses, it probably wouldn't matter how bright the bright was, apart from to my eyes. It's too bright, you know, a little bit too bright for my eyes, so my eyes just want to close, which is why they are closed. And that's Andre doing, you don't want to know what he's doing. I think I just brushed the microphone with my beard again. So yeah, yesterday was a bit of a strange day. I got back, I was tired because I hadn't really had a lot of sleep, and I watched telly for a little bit, then I went and laid down, then I got up and I laid down a bit more, got up and like, you know, it kind of just, it threw me off. I didn't get anything done that I would like to have done yesterday at all, as far as, you know, the online stuff that I do. That's okay, I suppose. It doesn't really matter. It's only one day. As long as it doesn't happen every day. I'm not sure if doing 3 a day is possible, I mean, it's physically possible, I suppose, if I was doing 10 minutes. It's okay, I'll do a 10-minute video on, relaxation video, a 10-minute chronic pain relief video, a 10-minute insomnia session, a 10-minute ASMR whisper session. And if I just recorded them live and they're uploaded instantly, maybe did them on YouTube and streamed them, I probably could do like 5, 6, 7, maybe 10 a day. I don't think I could manage that, but just as an example, I probably do quite a lot. But then there would be no introductions, there'd be no editing, there'd be no, because once I've made a session, there's then the, getting the audio out of it, posting that MP3 up to the podcasts, promoting the podcasts, and then making a page on my website where that podcast is available to download for free. And so there's, embedding the video and the MP3 into the same page so people can stream them as well as download for free. And yeah, there's quite a lot of stuff involved in this, and that's without the promotional side and the never-ending website work. But it's okay. It's I sometimes think, imagine if I could, I don't know, still have the same website that I had in 2007, still had the same YouTube channel in 2007, the same podcast, although the podcast it was deleted by the podcast host. They kind of stopped doing them. But if I had, like the original podcast that's still available now on SoundCloud, or my first Spreaker podcast that had loads and loads of downloads, just be interesting to see where it would be now, as far as interest, and whether or not people would still be following and still be just see where, if it grew, see how it had grown during that time. Because I went onto a hypnosis website, I think it's Ultra Hypnosis, and they got something like 105 million views of their videos. I think it was that, it might be more, but about 100, maybe 150 million views. But it's like, wow, that's just a huge amount. And they've got a Patreon account, Patreon page, and they're getting about 8,000 a month from that. I don't know if it's dollars or pounds, I think it was dollars. And so that'd be, what, £5,000? So it's not a bad amount, is it? 5,000 a month. So that's 60 grand a year. Is that right? 5 grand a month, 10, 50, 60, yeah. 60,000 a year. That's about, it's also selling merchandise. So I was thinking about that. I could sell merchandise, maybe have stuff with Andre on it. I don't know. I don't like this light shining in my face though. That's it, that's better. I've got quite sensitive eyes. I think that's why I've got the Actolite lenses, because when I'm outside the sun although it didn't seem to be working very well today because it was quite sunny. It was also cold as well, but they didn't seem to be working because it was just, everything was like shining right in my eyes. That's a better look. I just turned it off. Straight away I can look into the camera, but then the picture is quite grainy. So that was, I don't know how much that cost me. I think it was I wonder. I think the idea, I think the idea is this, is that's the camera. I thought if the so if it's close enough, then you wouldn't notice. Okay, let's have a look. Yeah, I think that's kind of the thing where it should be shining brightly. I think on that note I'm going to end this, because this is... Or maybe it doesn't have to be shining right at me. Maybe having it there would be enough. I don't know. Not that exciting really, is it? But then it's not supposed to be. I think that was just another bit of waste of money. I might be able to find a use for it. If nothing else, I could probably just use it as like a little lamp for the desk when I'm on the computer, to have it shining down on the laptop. Because I sometimes do find that at night I can see the screen fine, but the actual keys are a little bit, I kind of have to sort of strain a little bit to see what the keys say on the keyboard. So perhaps I could use this and shine it on the keyboard, have a bit lower light, and that might make it a bit easier. So it might be working absolutely fine. I'm in no way excited about it though, if I'm honest. I went into a shop, like a supermarket today, and I thought, I wonder if they have started selling hot cross buns, as we're now in the Easter season. Quite often in January, suddenly it's there's two things, isn't it? There's Valentine's and Easter. The two things that are kind of promoted. So was it, Valentine's is in February, I don't know what date that is, and Easter is either end of March or April, beginning of April time. So that's a hot cross buns. But I went in there and there was none. There was none. And I was really thinking, oh, I wonder if they have any hot cross buns. And I said to my friend when I went out, because I did say to him as we was sort of walking towards the shop, and I thought, I'd quite like to get some hot cross buns. And because I like tea cakes, but I prefer hot cross buns because they're more, they're nicer, they're fruitier. And I think that the some supermarkets understand that there are people such as myself who are big fans of hot cross buns, and they do sell them all year round. And the fruitier the better. I love the more fruit. I don't want it to be completely fruit. I don't want it to be like a bowl of breakfast cereal, you know, bran and nut, fruity loopy, whatever it's called, all bran or muesli. I don't want to be sticking muesli into my toaster. But I do muesli on toast. But a nice fruit, nice big bits of fruit, maybe even apricot and currants, toasted, and just, it's beautiful. Hot cross buns. And there's something about, I might have talked about this before, back in 1987, I moved into my first flat, and my friend Neil was with me. Not when I moved in, but he came and visited me on, I think it was Good Friday, so it was a Friday before Christmas. And I was eating, because I'd moved in, but I think at that point I didn't have any furniture in there, because I might have had a bed or whatever, but I hadn't really had much moved in yet. But I had the key, and I was living there. I didn't have any food really as such, but what I did have was, I was drinking a cup of tea. I probably made one for my friend, I can't remember, and I had some hot cross buns, because we had a shop across the road from where I lived, and so I must have bought them there. And I was watching Wurzel Gummidge on television, and that's what I remember from 1987 Good Friday, watching Wurzel Gummidge on probably BBC Two or something like that, whilst eating the hot cross buns and drinking a nice cup of tea. It might have been a cup of coffee, but I don't think I used to drink coffee back then. Although, wait a minute, I might have done. I don't recall. I really don't recall if I was drinking coffee back then. But that specific day, I don't know. It was definitely the hot cross buns. Quite often I call them hot crust buns, like hot crust. I don't know why, because I suppose they are kind of have bits of crust in them, I suppose. Because bready, they're doughy, aren't they? All dough, when it's cooked, has, I suppose, kind of a crust around it. Not the same as bread, but something. I mean, the cross bit is a bit crusty, not crusty as in it needs putting in the washing machine, or perhaps put in the bin and forgotten about. But I mean, like crusty as in like a different texture to the rest of the item of edible product that you've had in front of you. But then it is a separate thing. It's a different thing that they put on it. It's like I don't know, like a different kind of pastry that's put across it. So I used to work in, two bakeries. So I and also if you do bake, I'm a bit of a connoisseur when it comes to hot cross buns, and if you look at them, they do, even when before they're like even toasted, sometimes the top bits start to fall off, and you can see it's been added separate. It's been added to the actual bun. So I think that's probably me for today. It's a bit of a weird lighting of this video, and as I said earlier, I'm thinking of just not doing these live anymore, not doing them on video either. Maybe they'll be available on video, but it'll be like a background moving image, like a candle or something like that, like my deep sleep whisper ones, and the audio will still be available on the podcasts. Anyway, I'm going to go for now. I wish you all the happiest day ahead, and lots of love. See you later. Bye.